If you are a tiny group of people deep in the shadow who understand the nature of reality, the illusory nature of reality, how people interact with reality, how perceptions of people become their experience, cause and effect, just think of the magnitude of power that gives you over the target population. All you really need to know is infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. And it repeated it. Infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. The illusion that has stopped us understanding our true nature, which is consciousness, is what creates the division, the chaos, the conflict, the hatred, and stops us being what we truly are, which is incarnate love. That's what we're supposed to be. Not love in the sense of, I saw you down the disco, fancy you, darling, love you, darling, all that stuff. No, it's love in another way. We have so misrepresented what love is. We have to put words in front of it now, like unconditional love and what have you. But it is a state of harmony, a state of being, a state of compassion, a state of empathy. And when we are in that state, there is no disharmony. But when you fall for the illusion of what I call the phantom self, the name of one of my books, where we self-identify who we are with the labels, then the force manipulating human society can play those labels off against each other, create divide and rule and conflict, which is what it does. And through this subdivision of the minutiae of self-identity, it's doing it on an ever greater scale. When you self-identify with being a point of attention within infinite awareness, and I look at you and I know that you are a point of attention within the same awareness, and so are you, and so are you, and so is everybody else, then we view each other in a completely different way.
For me, is if people started doing what they knew to be right and dealing with situations all the time as we go through our daily life on the basis not is what's right for me in the moment, how do I come out smelling the roses, how do I do this, and oh well, what are the consequences for me for doing what I know to be right? Ditch all that and we start doing what we know to be right, and we make our decisions based on what is fair and what is just and what is right in the circumstances that we're facing. Everything kind of changes then, because most people, not least through fear and all the other programming that people get, is they're making these daily decisions based on what about me, what's in it for me, or what are the consequences for me. How do I get the best deal so they don't get the best deal? And as a result, that's the world we live in. I mean, you see the extremes of it in Wall Street and the City of London and Goldman Sachs, but the basic same theme is playing out all the way through society. It's interesting when you see these blueprints that are playing out at every level, right? I'm saying that those within the moon are parasiting off human society, but then you go down human society and different levels of parasiting off others, and you get right down into the body, and there's parasites feeding off your bloody body. There's probably parasites feeding off parasites. It's like a holographic as above, so below, going all the way through society. And if we stop parasiting off others, and we, instead of saying, for me to win, you must lose, we become conscious and we say, well, look, how do we get a win-win situation here? Instead of one having to win and one having to lose, how do we get a win-win situation?
Humanity is waking up. There are enormous numbers of people who are now beginning to allow the veil to lift and allow themselves to see what they couldn't see before. When I started talking about all this 20 years ago and writing about it, I was talking to a man and a dog when the dog could be bothered to turn up. I was the nutter in Britain the person people laughed at and dismissed. Now I talk to thousands of people at a time, and my work is known all over the world. I have been a barometer for a dramatic awakening of vast numbers of people, and it's an exponential curve.
No longer do we need to compete. No longer do we need to manipulate. No longer do we need to trash. No longer do we need to cuss and kick and fight to get to the top of the greasy pole. The greasy pole for what? The greasy pole within this infinitesimal section of time we call a human life, when what we are infinitely is consciousness. And we have to fight each other and punch each other and kick each other to get to the top of a greasy pole in this tiny segment of life, or time we call life. Even time's an illusion, by the way.
But you do have to be somewhere.
Yeah,
about 15
yeah,
million.
within the perception of this reality. Time exists within the perception of this reality.
When we created.
When I think it's been created for us. That's another whole point of view.
Yeah.
But when people leave the body in a near-death experience and they go to a point where they become consciousness, a state of awareness, then time as we experience it here does not exist. And if you think about time, people think there's a past and there's a future, but there's only a now. There's only a now moment, and so that's very difficult for people to grasp at first, because they think, well, I've been there and I'm going there. Well, but hold on a minute. When you're thinking of the past, where are you? You're in the now. When you're worrying about the future, where are you? You're in the now. And when what we call the future becomes an experience, it's experienced in the now. There's only the now. So time is an illusion too. But we use time so that we can operate within this reality.
So what do? Do we just give up? Or do we dedicate and focus our lives on doing something about it? I'm 60 years of frickin' age. What have I got? A few years? 10 maybe? Yeah, you'll be very glad about that. Nice person. Hey, so I ain't doing this for me. I don't have to live my entire frickin' life as young people do today, virtually, in the world that's coming so fast. I've just done this because I believe it's right. And the fact that you get ridiculed for doing what you believe is right shows how mentally disturbed much of the human race is.